Today on the channel, we're back again with another top 10 list. And in honor of 56,000 subscribers to this YouTube channel, we're taking a look back with the 2016 challenge, and we're counting down the Ringside Collectibles top 10 wrestling figures of 2016.
The spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Welcome everyone, Kyle here, and welcome back to the channel for another edition of the Kyle Peterson Top 10, a Thursday tradition. As every Thursday on the channel, we're doing a top 5 and occasionally top 10 countdowns, and today is one of those occasions as we're counting down the top 10 Ringside collectible figures of 2016 in honor of 56,000 subscribers on this YouTube channel. Appreciate everybody subscribing to the channel. The Patreon, YouTube channel memberships, all the social medias, all that fun stuff. Appreciate all that. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't, as every single Thursday, we're doing top 5 and top 10 lists. And lately, it's been a viral thing out there on the old social medias, as everybody's saying, hey, let's put up a picture of how we looked in 2016. And 2016 to me feels just like yesterday. Maybe it does for you as well. But I went back in the old Rolodex, had to go look for the timestamps and stuff. And I did post on Instagram. Make sure you follow me over there. Some images of me, and happened to be my wife with me. Of course, Angie from The Kyle Peterson Show as well. Check out the podcast each and every week for more on Angie. But it was images of us of 2016, and people commenting like, what the heck, where's the hair? Well, I didn't start growing my hair out until COVID. COVID was that short little window, long window. What is time once again? Where I had an opportunity to grow long hair. I'd always wanted long hair at least one time in my life. But you get that weird spot where you're growing it in between. Luckily, I got to be in that weird spot during COVID, staying and working from home like a lot of us did. So it was a perfect time for me to do that. And historically in my life, unfortunately, I couldn't grow long hair because the jobs didn't allow it. They didn't allow facial hair. Well, things started to change. And as we do know, and here we are, 2026, things are a little bit more lax in the business world. So here I am looking like Bread Jesus once again. But there's my images of me and I guess my wife from 2016, part of that 2016 challenge. And here we are in 2026 doing a weekly top 10 video. Boy, oh boy, some things just never change and some things have totally changed. I'm sure you would agree with that sentiment for your 2016 pictures. But we've talked enough about me in 2016. Let's talk about Todd McFarlane in 2016. Where are you up to? Nah, we'll save that for another day. But it is very interesting that Ringside posted an image of their 2016 best sellers from the Mattel Elite line, toy line, Mattel WWE, basically, let's call it. And we do have that top 10 today. So I thought it'd be fun to just take a trip back. And of course, you know me, I'm a completist of this line. So I have all the figures. Figured we'd take a look at those along the way as well. So this is Ringside's best-selling figures of 2016. I guess in the comments below, give your thoughts on any of these. Did you have any of these? Do you have them now? Were you excited for them in 2016? We're going to tell stories best I remember it for each of these figures at the time, and we'll go from there. I will say 2016-ish, maybe it was 2017, but I feel like it was maybe towards the end of 2016. That was the decision I made to go all in as a completionist on the Elite line. I was out of the line when Mattel first got it. Then the Ultimate Warrior and Terry Funk figures brought me into it. Then shortly after that, I started dabbling in a few things, primarily Legends. But then around 2016, 2017, I said, oh, you know what? I'm going all in. I'm going to have every single figure. And it leads us to the madness we're in today. There's no escape, Todd McFarlane. There's no escape from the madness we're in here today. So it'll be fun to take a little bit of look back and try to remember my thought process as we go through it. So as usual, we're starting at number 10, and there's no arguments. This was Ringside's list, and it was their bestseller. So we'll see what happens here, but we're going to kick it off at number 10. All right, the countdown begins at number 10, and number 10 was a very fun one at the time. Now, I've always been a lover of box sets, even when I was a little kid, because it's a great way to get a bunch of figures at one time. It always feels special when you get 3, 4, 5, 6 figures at once. Really changes the dynamic of play when you're a player, or a displayer, I guess. But this one played a lot of hits. Now, I waited, and I felt like I got this on WWE Shop, but apparently it was a Ringside exclusive. But it is, of course, the New Day Booty-O's 3-pack. They got all their unicorn apparatuses on. Is that what we're going to call it, Todd McFarlane? We got that going on. We got Big E, Kofi Kingston, and of course, Xavier Woods. Happier times. As we remember back at this time, New Day was everywhere. Bootios were all over the place. Everybody was wanting a little bit of the Bootios, and it was represented very well in this 3-pack. Now, we got a lot of matching New Day figures over the year, but it was pretty fun to get this one. I really enjoyed this pack at the time. I felt for out-of-box collectors, these are just fine, but for in-box collectors as well, I think this was a really, really solid set. It displayed very well. It looked really cool. I actually saved it. I don't save all my packaging. I actually saved the packaging for this, and it's up there in my attic with a bunch of other stuff I should probably throw away. Maybe I will one of these spring cleanup years. But the Bootios 3-pack was a fun one that went to deep clearance, but that doesn't mean it wasn't fun. I really enjoyed this one, and apparently you did too, as it came in at number 10 in Ringside's bestseller list. Next up on the countdown, we head to the number 9 selection. In this one, guess what? We break the walls down with the Ringside Collectibles exclusive, Chris Jericho. Maybe interested to see if we get some more Chris Jericho figures from WWE Mattel, as there's a lot of rumors here in 2026 that he may be coming back, maybe even for the Royal Rumble later this month. We'll see what ends up happening. But this one I don't have fond memories of. I don't have unfond memories of. It's just one of those figures that's like, oh yeah, I remember that. I remember seeing that. I'm kind of surprised it was in the top 10, but maybe not. It was at towards the back end there. And, Ringside exclusives historically are pretty popular because obviously you can only get them at Ringside. So you're going to sell a lot more of them than the day-to-day stuff that somebody could go to Walmart or Target and pick up. So you do have that. And the one thing about this whole list, it doesn't say if there was hot sales and stuff. We saw that in the 2025 list. Well, we understand why this guy was on here. He was $3.99. LA Knight defining moment was like $5.99 forever. Makes sense. You sell a lot of units at $5.99. I feel like this Jericho went down to clearance, but I could be wrong on that one. A very serviceable Chris Jericho, different than a lot of the other Jerichos, so it is a good figure. But it's just kind of one of those ones that's just a little bit there, at least for me, maybe not you. But this Jericho Ringside exclusive comes in at number 9 in the 2016 countdown. We're feeling great at number 8. And number 8, we go all the way back to Elite 45. One thing I should mention in all these figures in this countdown, it's crazy to see no pinless joints. Pins were in back in 2016. Everybody loved a pin joint. Now we are pinless for the most part. But this one, we're going to number 8. We're going back to Elite Series 45. Seth Rollins with WWE Championship. We've come a long way on this one as well. Title belt's always fun to have, as we do know. Seth Rollins, a guy, had tons and tons of figures since this point, but definitely a more magical time. Is that just me? Magical time for Seth Rollins. He was still fresh in the WWE minds. Obviously, here we are, 2026, out injured currently, but he's been up and down the card many, many times. But he was very fresh player at this time. And a lot of people fondly remember this time. And I remember it myself personally because obviously him being from my area, there was a lot of hubbub. And Seth Rollins would even be on the local news, where on the sportscast, they would cover his title wins and stuff like that back in the infancy of his WWE career. They don't do that so much anymore, but it felt special. And it was like, hometown state guy, whatever's done well, done good. And that's kind of what this one always makes me think of a little bit here. But coming in at number 8, Elite 45, Seth Rollins. Next up, we're at the number 7 selection in the top 10 countdown. And then we're going to call this one the Don't Know What You Got Till It's Gone. The Cinderella. Of course, everyone loves Cinderella, except me. Sorry, Tom Kiefer, I was never a Cinderella guy. But everybody loves this figure. And a lot of people, if you had to list these 10 figures from this countdown up, I have to imagine the majority of people would say, yep, I want that one if they had to choose. But back in 2016, this is still popular, but it was the number 7 popular. We're going to the Ringside Collectibles. We're going to WCW. We're going to the NWO. We're going to the Wolfpack Sting. And how many people would love to have a modern day Wolfpack Sting in the Ultimate Edition line? Can you imagine if Sting signed with Mattel or WWE right here in 2026? People would just be frothing at the mouth saying, can I get this in an Ultimate? Can I get this one? How about an Elite? And they'd want so many Stings. Mattel would almost say, hey, let's just do a 20-pack box set to get these all out of the way. I don't know what they would do. But this figure, tomato face Sting, in all honesty, not my favorite look of Sting's career, but I am very happy we got it. It's great to go with the Wolfpack. We saw a lot of Wolfpack exclusives around this time frame from Ringside, and Sting was another one of those ones. But like I said, a lot of people, if they could go back right now and pick any figure from this top 10 list, have to imagine they're picking up old tomato face Sting, and he comes in number 7. Next up at number 6, this one has the distinction of the only thing on the countdown I never picked up, because at this time I was saying, you know what, I don't need rings in my collection. And that's what we have right here with the authentic scale ring with multiple ring skirts for this one. It was the Raw ring. Now, this was a collaboration between Ringside and Mattel, if I'm not mistaken. I think you could only buy this at Ringside. Maybe it was available at Toys R Us as well. But we've had a lot of rings since this point, and I have a lot of rings in my collection. I did not have this ring once upon a time. Like I said, I was saying at the time, I'm just collecting action figures. I'm not going to get these play sets and accessories. Since then, obviously, I've dived into the rings, but at this point in time, this juncture, I was not picking up rings. And I have a feeling that maybe there weren't a lot of rings out around this time. It's a little fuzzy in the memory. Try to go back 10 years, as we know. So I have a feeling this was about slim pickings in the ring department. That's why this one jumped so high, because this is a lot more expensive than a traditional action figure. So people were ponying up some extra cash to pick one of these up. And it makes me feel like maybe at this time there wasn't a lot of rings available. So an interesting one, the only non-figure related one, I guess it is figure related, but you know what I mean. Coming in at number 6 is the authentic scale ring. We've hit the halfway spot in the countdown. You got your list together, put it in the comments down below. And make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channels, 2 channels with content every day. And every Thursday, we got a countdown of some kind going on. So here we are, though, at the halfway point. The halfway point, we're going to Mattel Elite Series 43, going way back, turning the dial way back here. Elite 43, I thought at first this was his first time in the line, but I think his first figure ever. Was it possibly a basic? I can't remember. I'll have to look that up later. But Elite 43 came with the NXT title belt. Who is it? It is Kevin Owens, a guy that's been around a time or two around the Mattel line, really coming to his own, much like Seth Rollins around this time, obviously at NXT at this point in his career. But moved his way up the card, as we know. Superstar in this day. Out injured currently here in 2026. But 2016, he was riding high with that classic NXT title belt. Not a bad Kevin Owens, but they've had ones that are light years better than this. And as we always say, constant learning, constant improvement. And I think we've seen that with Kevin Owens figures over the year. But coming in at 43 is the NXT Championship edition of Kevin Owens. Getting closer and closer to the top spot, and the number 4 selection here is actually my favorite figure of these top 10s. Well, this and the Stinger. It's a close one. I have to think about it a little bit because I got that Sting love. You guys know that. But this one, we go to Elite 46. We go all the way back to Elite 46. As we go to the Demon, we go to Finn Balor. And as I'm filming this video here, Finn Balor unfortunately just failed in beating CM Punk for the title. Would have really popped huge if he would have came out as the Demon and won. Wasn't in the cards, at least at this juncture here. But I love this figure. I love how he was posed backwards in the packaging. Reminded me of Classic Superstars Series 12, Ultimate Warrior. Of course, a lot of hallmarks back to that one. But always fun to get a Demon figure. There's never been a Demon figure I don't like. And Finn Balor, one of my favorite performers. But I'd be lying to say if I didn't prefer the face paint. You know how we are around this channel here. But this one is a fabulous one. And I totally understand why it's on the list. And it came in number 4. We've hit the final 3 top 2016 ringside collectible selling figures. And this one is a bit of a doozy, and in a plot twist, we got this one re-released in 2025 from the vault. Where we go on ringside collectible exclusive, NWO Wolfpack, Big Sexy himself. It is Kevin Nash. Now, we did get the more updated one here in 2025. So this one a little bit maybe out of touch for a lot of people saying, hey, I don't need this one. I got the brand new shiny one with the pinless joints. But there is some differences, and I always will champion make a little bit of differences. Make the people that have the old one happy, and make them hopefully buy the new one as well. I think that is the key to the vault and re-releases and the greatest hits and all that kind of stuff. But this one, a cool one at the time, part of that Ringside Wolfpack exclusive series, whatever you want to call it. Really enjoyed this one way back when, and it comes in at number 3 in our top 10 list. Lucky Young Traveling Woolberries, we're getting down to the end of the line. We're at the number 2 selection. And number 2, we go all the way back to WWE Mattel Elite Series 41 for this performer's second time on the countdown. Who are we going to? Well, we're going to Finn Balor. We're going to the Demon once again. As I said earlier, you can't go wrong with the Demon. Very popular performer. Obviously, if you throw face paint and stuff like that, it just speaks to many more people, including myself. So no fault of anybody. I could see this being a top selection. And pretty good year for Finn Balor, I'd say, having both of these. And wasn't it in 2016 he won the title belt and then had to give him up because of injury? Maybe I'm wrong on that, but it felt like it was 2016 timeframe. So Finn Balor at maybe you could say his zenith. I hope he gets back to that. It feels like the Judgment Day has been great for him, but it's also been a hindrance to him, in my personal opinion. Would love to see him back on the main event scene. Would love to see him finally getting that world title once again. I'd love to see the Demon do it for him. So we'll see what happens in the future. But for now, the past, number 2, Finn Balor, which means there can only be one. What was the number 1 Ringside Collectibles top seller of 2016? Well, stay tuned. We've hit the number 1 spot, the top figure of 2016 based on sales from Ringside Collectibles. Once again, make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel and my other YouTube channel. Check out Patreon YouTube channel memberships and check out my podcast while you're at it. But here we are at number 1, and we're going all the way back to Elite 47 for the number 1 performer. It was a first time in the line. I think that is what moved this one to the top of the list. One of the all-time greats, one of the most popular performers of all time in a lot of ways, and get his first ever Mattel Elite figure. You know there was a lot of people perking up on that one. And in a crazy plot twist, as I'm watching this right now, or as I'm filming this, or maybe watching it, either or, he's coming up on his retirement year, and he may be retired at this Royal Rumble as he's going against Gunther. Here we are with AJ Styles, obviously fresh off his independent run, TNA, WCW once upon a time. AJ's had a lot of figures from Mattel. I'm honestly surprised we haven't got more the last few years, but he's been very well represented, and I would say if you had to list all of his figures, this might be towards the bottom in all honesty, but at the time it was the first, and you always remember your first, right, Todd McFarlane? Exactly. And this one, pretty darn special figure. I remember seeing this back in the day at Toys R Us. I think shortly after this wasn't the Network Spotlight released, and I always did prefer that figure for early AJ figures, but this was the first mainline release. I totally understand how this could have shot to the top of the countdown for 2016, and very bookend-like with him retiring this year at the end of 2026, supposedly, or maybe the beginning. We'll see what happens here at the Royal Rumble in a couple of weeks. But a fun figure nonetheless. Maybe lost a little luster over the years, but I think a lot of collectors fondly remember this one, and I would say that's a big part of it being at number 1. So there it is, the Ringside Collectible top sellers of 2016. Did they get it right? They, the people? What is your favorite one out of this top 10? For me, I'm torn between that Sting and Finn Balor. Be interested to hear your thoughts in the comments below, or any other remembrance of 2016 collected action figures. It was a different time, a different landscape, as we do know here looking back 10 years later, but a lot of fun on both sides of the coin. And you could say some things were better back then, some things are better now. Just depends how you look at things. But let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Don't forget to like the channel. Don't forget to subscribe to the videos. Subscribe to both channels. We got all kinds of stuff for you. YouTube channel memberships, Patreon, SirPaul64 on the X, _Kyle_Peterson on Threads, Instagram, TikTok, and TheKylePetersonShow at gmail.com, which is also the name of my podcast. Each and every week, my wife and I break it all down in the Kyle Peterson Show, where podcasts are found with videocast on YouTube. So for AJ Styles and the rest of the 2016 top 10, I'm Kyle. See you guys all real soon.
Well, are we gonna dance or are we gonna play?